For life, right? Hello and welcome to another We Are Developers Live. We are here live. It's Wednesday again, and we actually have, it's one day after We Are Developers Day, where we basically celebrated yesterday. There's 30 days to go until we go back to San Francisco, and we fly to San Francisco, but then we go to San Jose to actually do our event in America for the first time. So I'm kind of excited. I'm also kind of worried, but at the same time, it's interesting because we've just both been to Silicon Valley to promote that. And it was interesting to get people to sign up for a developer-only event, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, first of all, I should say it feels a bit weird, actually, us both being back in our houses doing a normal We Are Developers Live. It feels like a long time. But yeah, it does. It was a really good trip. It was the British weather came with me. I won't talk about the weather too much and be a stereotype, but it did surprise me, kind of how different it is over there, and that when you speak to people in the kind of tech world over there, there's so many events that sometimes they don't know which ones are kind of big and important like ours, and which ones are kind of meetups or something that might just be a kind of a momentary thing. So yeah, it's definitely been a learning experience, but it's good fun.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting to go back to San Francisco after like 10 years not being there and seeing all the changes, like taking robo taxis for the first time and like still seeing people arguing with traffic lights and talking to themselves. But you actually don't know if they're just people of the Tenderloin or if they're people wearing smart glasses and just babble away from them. Like it's fascinating to see how people are embracing the tech much more there because of its availability, I guess. But it's just it's fascinating to see. But I also saw backlash, like people are not too happy about the robo taxis. And I mean, I took one of these electro scooters at one time, and I drove it in a Berlin fashion, so that made like two of the Waymo stop. So yeah, it was interesting to see. So as usual, we have a guest again today. So and this time it's Marc Plogas, and he's from RoboTwin. He's a cloud and IoT guy, and we knew each other from Microsoft before. And it's interesting to see that you bet on a thing like IoT, which is a growth market that has been coming for the last 20 years, right?
Yes. Yes, unfortunately, or fortunately, so it is growing steadily. And now it's combined with robotics, so it's basically the best thing of two worlds.
It was interesting because when IoT started, and we all like, well, there's not enough there's not enough IP numbers, like because back then we had the original IP numbers, and IPv6 and IPv5 was still a fever dream, and we're like, okay, so how do we do that? Do we mesh networking between those different devices? Like, how many devices will you have in your house? And yeah, it kind of became a thing that's just in the background. People have their smart doorbells now and their smart speakers, and everything is probably mining data in the background without you knowing it, but people are just became used to it.
Well, we had a hope in IPv6. We are still hoping, probably also for 20 years, and hoping for the next 20 years. Actually, remember I made a call at the session at the We Are Developers where I was actually hacking one of these IoT devices, and I was even doing this kind of hands off, because I've trained agents to do this, because it's always basically the same steps. And that is more the frightening thing that comes up now, that basically everyone can do this now hands off without any pre-exposure or something to hacking or IoT devices at all. They just connect the devices and figure out what's going on. And the vendors should be very worried, in my opinion.
Yeah, and a bit also outdated materials. I mean, the amount of like hacked routers that you saw over the last few years, that basically that the America not allowing for any Chinese routers at all. At the same time, I mean, if it's like a Fritzbox that has been installed in 1995 in Germany and hasn't been changed since then, that's also a problem, especially with the password being admin12345.
I could insert the joke from Spaceballs. Hey, that's also my password. But yeah, true.
Yeah, it's pretty bizarre how these how we became dependent on these things, and then when they're always great until they don't work, and then people get stuck. Which brings us kind of to the topics that we want to cover today as well. So the first one that I wanted to why I'm not showing up?
There you are. You can see him now.
Took a while. Okay. So yeah, we are 30 days away from our event in California. And if you scan this QR code later on at the recording, or the 0 people who watch live right now, basically this is a 50% off code. So basically the tickets are not the normal price, but 50% off. We also have other codes. So if you contact us and you talk to us, we probably can get you a 90%, and in some cases also a 100% ticket to actually get you at the Congress. In case you don't know yet, it's the same thing that we do in Europe, but a bit smaller, but at the same time, the same kind of numbers: 10,000 people, 4,000 companies, 2,000 decision makers, 500 speakers, and we got a good rota of people. We got Thomas Domke coming again. We got Kelsey Hightower out of. He kind of has digital retirement. I haven't seen him in a while, but he's still a really interesting guy to talk to. We've got the Sentry CEO. We've got people from Honeycomb. We got people from Microsoft. Scott Hanselman, of course, again. Let's see who's going to hack this time live. I mean, I remember the talk where he gave about his insulin pump. And the other thing that he did lately was make a free version of Peloton, so you can basically cycle at home with like different videos and stuff. So I always like that he messes with things. Victor Safkin was also in Berlin. He has a very interesting talk about what we can learn from JavaScript frameworks and how we can put that one into the work that we do these days. So lots of people coming, lots of things happening. It's going to be at the Congress Center in San Jose. I haven't seen it myself yet. Dan, have you been over there when you were in it, or did you also just meet people in San Francisco?
Yeah, just meet people in San Francisco, but I have heard about the venue that a bit like it is at the Messe Berlin, a kind of football arena, a soccer arena, big old impressive venue. So yeah, we're gonna have a lot of people there to fill it as well. So it's gonna be good.
Cool. So yeah, that's like a 50% code. Going to send that out later on as well. But let's talk about a few things that we were involved with and that we talked. So we had a meeting space, a cafe where people can come in, and we did a few events there. And it was interesting to see that everybody who we met, not a single person called himself a developer. Everybody either called themselves a founder or called themselves a builder. And I think the builder thing is really honest and interesting, but at the same time, it sounds super generic. I hear builder and I just think of like, can we fix it? Yes, we can. Or YMCA. What about you, Mark? Did you start embracing the builder concept of a new work job title in our world?
I guess I'm too old-fashioned for that. I'm still considering myself an engineer, but I've seen this as well. I've been hosting a hackathon yesterday with the global AI community, and there were many builders there. There were also engineers there that had kind of like the proper education, but there were lots of people that didn't have any exposure prior, and they were actually building amazing things in a hackathon for the short amount of time. It's probably not production ready, but it's still a result. And that was amazing.
Well, that was not the goal of a hackathon, wasn't it? Production readiness. I mean, that always annoyed me when you did hack days in the company, and then basically product people came up. So that we can build that live tomorrow, right? Like, no, it's absolutely insecure. It's really not working, but it really does the job. And it kicked me out again. Okay.
StreamYard, if you want.
Yeah, that was all good. I keep sharing my screen and see what's happening more. But yeah, don't know what's going on there. Why it does that? Must be my computer, or I don't know. But in any case, this was happening, and yeah, it's the amount of people that you also explained 3 times what it is was just fascinating to me. We gave people these free tickets, and they scanned it immediately, were super excited, and then like 20 minutes later, they came up to you and say like, "So who are you then? What do you do?" And I'm like, "Wait, you just scanned a ticket. You just gave me access to your phone." It's just very bizarre that people seem to be forgetting really quickly what's going on there.
I wonder if it's fatigue, though. I do think that they get so many events, like we said, put in front of them that, it is that thing of, "Ooh, I'll sort of maybe hear about it 3 times before I kind of, actually take it seriously," kind of thing. 'Cause I can imagine it's, they are sold a lot to as well. Like we saw kind of in places like Corgi Cafe, where it's great for kind of networking. Or we're having some real problems here with screen sharing, aren't we? StreamYard really doesn't like it.
Oh, well, it's going to be in a sec. Hang on. Don't worry about it. Keep talking.
Yeah. Just at the just when we were in Corgi Cafe, I think we could see that there's other people that are networking with you, and they're telling you about their products, but then perhaps they're also looking for investors, perhaps they're looking for users. So there's this idea that everyone's being sold to all the time, which is a great kind of hub of energy. But also there must be times where you say, "I just want to not be sold to," and I think that's a very developer mindset. We don't like marketing or kind of really obvious selling. Oh,
now, Claude Code just said it wanted to record my screen at the same time. That might be the worrying thing. I don't know. Let's kick that. Quit. Fine. So, yeah, the big one, of course, was GitHub.com being down on August the 17th. And they did a very, I love the transparency to explain everything that happened and what was going on. I wasn't at all impacted by that. Did it make a difference to you, Mark or Daniel?
It did. I was like, okay, day's over. Thank you. I mean, if you have PRs to review, what are you going to do, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's funny actually, because we did see some images. How I found out about it is actually linking back to what we just spoke about. I'd searched Corgi Cafe on X, and I'd gone on there, and somebody had posted a photo that was loads of developers sat in there, and they said something like, "Now this is the real test of like, what do developers do when they can't develop? But you're sat around other developers in somewhere that you've come to develop." And it was the idea that kind of we might as well actually just have a coffee and sit and talk like we did before we made it all about development. But I didn't experience it. I didn't experience it at all. It seemed to be fine for me. So, maybe I'm special or just lucky.
Well, it was luckily late in the evening for us Europeans. So we had most of the work done, but it kind of reminds me of the good old days when it was like, oh, Stack Overflow's down. We cannot work. Or nowadays, I mean, there's also, for example, if Claude is down or Codex is down, lots of people are also like, okay, that's it for today. And it had kind of like the same feeling, at least for me, because I had a PR to review and I was like, dang.
That is an interesting concept. That's something we should talk to GitHub about, isn't it? Like that. Why couldn't you review PRs offline? I mean, you pulled them anyways. Like, you do the code changes, and the comment functionality could also be cached and could also be queued up for actually that you could say like, let's download those 5 and then watch them offline. But maybe it's just that people don't care about offline at all anymore. But I found it like reviewing huge PRs on a train, for example, is also a pain because it will not actually finish the things that you typed in.
Yeah, but so, for example, can we say names of companies here? Probably, right? So sure. I was using PyCharm from JetBrains, and this renders stuff into the things, but it does it apparently online. So it requires this connection. And if it's not working, it's going to be like, sorry, can't reach GitHub right now. Please try later.
Yeah, but that to me is like, that shows again like the quality of like software development these days. That's an edge case that we always should be thinking about. Like, what about a flaky connection or Li-Fi, as Jake Archibald used to call it, that basically says like you have connectivity, but then it's not fast enough or it doesn't work. So the whole like scheduling and caching and doing these kind of things is something that we might be thinking about. Interestingly enough, on the same day that there was this outage, Cursor released its own competitor to Git hosting, which is now available for people to use as well. people have been looking into other options as well because of the outage, like GitLab and of course Codeberg in Berlin as well would be another one. I mean, the Git hosting is one part, but I think that was never the interesting thing about GitHub. I think the interesting thing about GitHub was the whole interface around it that actually allows you to do the pull requests and then the community building tools that they added to that one. So the hosting will be one thing to just have that reliably, but maybe it is a good opportunity to think about multi-cloud hosting or multi-vendor hosting for your Git code now as well and do load balancing over them. But then again, do you want to pay for 5 of those? That's the other question then.
Yeah, I mean, or you can still add 3 remotes to your repository, but still you have to sync them and be mindful to sync them every time. And that is, given the laziness or the fatigue many people experience these days, I guess that also is not the best solution. But yeah.
I think there's something really interesting here.
Yeah.
Sorry, Chris, just jump in there. I think there's something really interesting about this and the previous one. That's the what do we do when we sort of are forced to work offline? And it feels like in some way that the cursor alternative has come about maybe because of these kind of issues that people are having with GitHub. People are feeling like, oh, it's slowing me down, or there's these issues that have come up that potentially are making them question whether they might move to another as an alternative. And Mark, when you said like when Claude goes down for the day and we sort of say, well, that's it, and I thought, well, we're not in the place yet where we switch to another model or to another, vendor, because it's another subscription cost or it's another kind of membership. And that it does then put us in that position, Chris, doesn't it? Where it's like, it's not our fault that it is our fault in some ways, we're using it too much, but it's not our fault that the infrastructure of GitHub and etc. is kind of struggling at the moment because of so many users. But what we don't want is to see that we're then pushed to have to go and pay for another subscription because of those problems with the infrastructure. But it feels like that's probably what is going to happen because it does cost a lot for the vendors to actually run and the infrastructure, etc. But I don't want to be in that place.
I guess it would be interesting to analyze as well. I don't think it's the hosting, and I don't think it's the normal day-to-day Git thing. I think it's like all the GitHub actions that actually took it down. I mean, that's the thing. Like we do build processing directly where we also do the source hosting. So that made me the issue here, that we're trying to do too many things at the same time on one infrastructure. I don't know. I mean, I remember Bazaar, that was like a version control system that was sharing across the users. That was basically like a BitTorrent client on your machine. So basically, the more people that worked on your project, the more it got distributed and the more it actually had safety backups. And we used that offline in the Yahoo office, for example, because it was just going over the Wi-Fi in the company instead of just using any centralized server. So that was an interesting way to do version controlling as well, because that way you basically have a safety copy and a full copy on each machine, which is like, I remember when Pixar had that problem. I think it was the first Toy Story where they basically had a server crash and they lost the whole movie. And turns out that one of the designers had taken a pre-copy to at home to show to their children. So basically that was how they actually saved the whole movie. She illegally actually brought something home, and that's how they saved the company. So yeah, that was an interesting one.
But that's no longer possible with corporate compliance nowadays.
Yeah, probably there's probably a copy on BitTorrent anyway. So yeah. Another thing, of course, Slack now has a vibe coding tool as well, Slack Code, which allows you to code directly inside Slack. Vibe-ish, in a vibe-ish way, and they call it agentic coding is multiplayer now. Yeah, I'm not sure if I want to use Slack also as a coding environment, but that again might be that I'm just old school, or that there's one way of doing it. I mean, we tried that with other tools before as well, where you could generate things in Excel. With a sidebar on GitHub Copilot and Microsoft Copilot, and like, I'm not sure. I mean, I've talked to our salespeople while we were over in America, and they actually showed me what they do with agents inside Slack and these kind of things as well. So maybe that's just the next world of where we are and build things. And that was the idea of agents, that you can run them from wherever, right?
But as you just said, like, would you do this? Do you have the choice of the models, or is this a solution that it is like the one-size-fits-all solution?
Yeah, I can't find that myself. Yeah, I was just looking for that. It's a good question. So it's launching today. It looks like Slack code is live. Launching today with agents from Anthropic, GitHub, Cognition, and Vercel. So it looks like, yeah, multiple.
So it's basically the harness that they provide.
Yeah. It would be fun to see what people are building and what people are doing, and I mean that's that was always the promise of agentic coding and AI coding, is that anybody can do it. And I mean, if we meet them where they are, why not? Not a bad idea.
Yeah,
much like how yeah.
Go on.
Much like when we did when we had Excel now supporting Python, and basically did because everybody is in there. So yeah. I think without Excel, there wouldn't be any software world. I mean, it still runs like 90% of what we do every day.
I actually think that's where like the real productivity, like I was thinking about this the other day, that so much of like the stuff that we hear about AI or we hear about technology is the stuff that's exciting, and that a lot of the stuff that isn't that exciting is usually where like the real productivity is or the real gains are, but it's not that easy to like tell people that story. And I feel like with Slack, right, the best example that I could think of right now that I would say almost everybody could benefit from it is what you're saying, Chris. If you went into the formulas in Excel, the most annoying bit about the formulas is that you are essentially writing code. And if you don't write code, you don't really know what you're looking at. And you're kind of debugging something that's like a foreign language until it works. And then you're doing the kind of equivalent of us going on Stack Overflow saying, why doesn't this work? And that if you can just now in natural language say, give me the sum of all of these different cells, but divide it by a monthly thing so that I get a revenue and compare it to last year. One sentence that can do like a really powerful thing. It's not very, exciting, but it's probably going to make a real difference. And I think that's where like I am weirdly excited about this Slack bot, because it's probably going to create lots of boring but useful software that actually is probably more productivity worthy than what we're hearing about.
I found it very confusing that out of a sudden in Slack we have like more than the people in the company, because everybody runs like 3 agents and has like a bot that joins the meetings, and you're like, what is this thing? This feels like a takeover or a hack to me, but it's actually just somebody putting a transcription agent in the meeting instead of them. Which of course brings us to this, that Anthropic has this project Parker now that sits through meetings and assigns Claude agents to homework. So basically, instead of you being in a meeting and getting work assigned to you, it basically then spawns up an agent that does the work for you immediately. And yeah, I'm also, this is great, but I'm also worried about that kind of thing, like, because I mean, the amount of things in meetings where people assigned work to me and I told them that this work is not necessary, that to me was always the skill that you need as a lead developer, right? Instead of just having like, yeah.
So good. Okay, that reminds me what I read this week is like someone wrote, I have become the API between Claude and my manager. And
yeah, the firewall.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, it's strange. It's like that whole dead internet thing when we talk about, the internet is now just bots talking to bots. It's that we're now, creating agents to take things that have been recorded by agents, and we've created that whole thing with an agent. And I don't know. I mean, again, it's if it really makes a difference that I'm interested in. Is this just cool sounding, but not that productivity? Doesn't actually bring about any more productivity or whatever, or is it just something that's a nice, interesting article? Mac
I think it's interesting that is thing that stands out to me. The amount of like Mac first or Mac only things that these companies are rolling out right now is, of course, I guess there's a lot of like intelligence on device on Mac, especially with the Vision framework and these kind of things that you can use. So that's probably why. But I mean, Microsoft has been banging that drum for so long to basically say like, okay, we have on-device things in Windows, but seems we lost it. But of course, there's the whole thing about Mac Minis being sold out everywhere because they're really good to run your own models on them. And on a Windows machine, the problem is you never knew what machine it was. It could be anything. Whereas with a Mac, you know what to expect from the machine. Now, one thing we found in America is that a lot of people were running around with Meta glasses, and it kind of annoyed me because they talked to me and I didn't know if they're recording right now. And it felt a bit like talking to Clark Kent and expecting Superman. And it's just the lights are not really that obvious that when they're recording something, and you had people mumbling to themselves walking through the cafe, and it was not crazy people. It was just basically somebody filming with their glasses and doing their cool influencer kind of thing. And then you said like this page, that's a privacy page for Meta glasses, is a master stroke in terms of marketing. Why is that?
Yeah, because it was actually that I think I just done a Google search, like just to get to this page, basically, just very quickly, and I typed in something like Meta glasses privacy, just throw it in, and it comes up with the little kind of slug, in the Google search results. And I think I actually sent it to you, Chris. So I'm actually going to see if I can just find the exact wording of it. But it made me laugh because it says something to the effect of, let me just see if I can find that. There it is. It said Ray-Ban Meta AI glasses were developed with your privacy in mind, giving you, the wearer, control over what you share, over what and when you share. And I thought, well, that's not really what we meant. We meant the people that are being filmed, and it doesn't actually mention them. And it's kind of putting in this idea of like, privacy is right at the forefront, but it's for the wrong people. So it's not, it's not how we would see it. And I think what it did as well is it tapped into some of the like concerns we often have in Europe that are around privacy, and that might be linked to regulation, and that there is very much an excitement around new technology in San Francisco, which is amazing, but it can kind of maybe be slightly like jarring if you're going in as a European and you're saying, oh, I'm not used to this, and that GDPR would probably stop this happening. There is also one more thing just to bring attention to that's quite funny, that's just above where you are, Chris. That's the respect people's preferences. So it does kind of mention it, but it says not everyone loves being photographed. Stop recording if anyone expresses that they would rather opt out. To me, that says when you've already got the content that they didn't want you to have, and they tell you to stop, then you can stop taking more content. But that I've got a small child, I would say I wouldn't want them to have that. Please delete it. But where are my rights? So yeah, it's very cleverly done, but more on the theme of like tech marketing.
It would be fun to see if that automatically follows QR codes, and then you just basically show people QR codes of like horrible sites that automatically open or something like that. But I don't know if that's a thing, but that would be fun to do.
Clever.
Interesting.
But yeah, there's a whole the most horrible people of the web are already using those. Again, there's like a whole channel of like on YouTube about pickup artists going to ladies with their glasses on, and when they say no, then start abusing them. And basically verbally, and that's the whole thing. And some platforms, not to mention names, by somebody with a name like Tusk, basically support even that with a special hashtag. And it's just like I mean, iPods with cameras are the next things that are coming out. So that's the question as well, if that's going to be a thing. But yeah, it's weird. I'm just not used to it yet, to talking to people like that. And it feels like when you think back of The Fifth Element, like that influencer guy that was just basically filming everything with his glasses, and it feels the same annoyance in there. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I have enough problems with my glasses as they are. I don't want to wait for them to have no battery as well.
I may be old, but I compared this to the Google glasses that came out like 20 years ago, and the outcry, like the worldwide outcry of like being filmed. And now we are at the point where it's kind of normal, and there are hacks to make this light not shine as bright as possible, as little as possible. And so, oh man, that is an interesting turn of understanding of privacy in the last 20 years.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to come back to that later as well, about flock cameras and all kind of things. Like, it's a weird thing. But just do some geek things. I love this one. HTML can do that. It's just basically all the new HTML bits and bobs that are interactive elements that basically allow you to not have to use any JavaScript for it. And then you just wrote an article as well in our magazine about input types and what they can do. So that's something to keep reminding you, like before you actually write an agent that uses tons of tokens by installing 6,000 JavaScript libraries, maybe use the right HTML or teach it to use the right HTML, and you can save a lot on like computation both on your end users devices and your own device. So that's pretty cool. AliExpress did an interesting thing. They use silent audio to fingerprint visitors' browsers. I've heard that before, that people actually use the silent audio playing so that the tab wouldn't fall asleep, and it actually would still show ads and stuff like that. But using the audio to fingerprint visitors' browsers was an interesting new idea, or not new. I've also seen ads that actually would play silent audio, and other tabs would listen in on that. And if it's at a certain frequency, it know that the other tab is open. So there's a lot of stuff happening with your audio. So if a tab shows the playing thing, be aware of that, and be aware that there might be something going on that's not supposed to be going on. But it's fascinating that people always find these things.
Sorry, that's the thing. I think the AliExpress tab did not show the audio icon. That was the challenge, but the fingerprinting thing is kind of like, I thought it's old news, because as you said, I heard about this before. It was just not on AliExpress, but on some things that were used to fingerprint. I mean, they have a bazillion ways of fingerprint in your browser, and that was just one of them. But the thing was, as I said, like it didn't show the icon for the audio recording and playing, because it's
because it used web audio. It didn't use an audio element to actually play it. So that's, I guess, why. Yeah. Well, I mean, this is tying into this one that I found. It was interesting. It's basically Glassbox. It's a tool that actually shows you what your machine tells you about them. How can you actually be fingerprinted? In this case, I'm 100% fingerprinted here. 1 in 11 billion browsers share this profile, and it shows all the bits that actually your browser tells about you. You got the client hints, the screen and the display, time zone and locale, Canvas 2D, if it actually allows you to create those kind of things, and WebGL renderer, web GPU, audio stack, installed fonts, and so on and so forth, all the things that actually allow you to get fingerprinted. And I had this discussion with the person who did just HTML and Canvas on Chrome. And he said, like, in the W3C meetings and in the groups that I'm in as well, we keep trying to make users not fingerprintable, but I guess that fight is lost, because your browser tells you so many things about you. That's, I mean, if you put the effort in, you can detect people easily.
Mm-hmm.
It would be interesting to try that on my hard machine, because I've got another box where I use LibreFox as my browser, and I got a VPN running and all kind of things. So it would be interesting to see how many of those are in there that actually allows you to do that. But the installed fonts bit is hilarious, that you can find people that way.
I never knew that. Yeah. I had no idea. I think this is actually really interesting, because it does, for me as somebody who sort of doesn't know how to fingerprint somebody and just knows that it's sort of like a general, word that we use for sort of identification. It's really interesting to actually see that broken down, because it does, even there was a part where I got to a moment ago where it's got, it's even telling you things like, CSS media features, your color scheme set to dark, like so many of these variables going down. I mean, that one's obvious. You'd say, yeah, they're going to find that. But the fact that when you put it all together with even your battery status and your keyboard layout, and this surprised me. I really didn't think too much about those.
I mean, the math thing is my favorite, because that also allows you to detect if it's Windows, Mac, or Linux, just with one calculation, because the rounding of a certain number is different on all these different operating systems. That's just mental. Who comes up with that? Yeah. That's really, really amazing. Yeah. Now, talking about old stuff, do you guys remember that one? It's the Windows pipes screensaver of Windows 95. And somebody did that in WebGL. It's CSS only. That's not actually WebGL. It uses PolyCSS, which is a simulation of a 3D environment in CSS. And I just loved that somebody built that. And then, of course, I had to look up the origin story of the pipe screensaver. That actually has all the information about it, like who came up with it, what they did with it, and actually, I mean, I always liked the maze more, But yeah, it's just funny that screensavers are such a thing of the past. Not a single screen burns in any longer. We don't need screensavers anymore, but it's still a thing that people use.
What was the maze? I don't remember it.
Burning in? Sorry, I was just asking, aren't OLED screens burning, have the issue of burning in if you leave them on for too long?
Probably. Yeah, that was the Windows 3D screensaver, that one, yeah. It was basically the Wolfenstein engine in a very piss poor version. And it was just, but it still was fun to show people these things. And Windows 3.11, when I used that one, that also had a few screensavers that were really impressive for the time. And now you can do all of that hardware accelerated in JavaScript on your device. So that's pretty amazing. But yeah, this is basically the bits and bobs that we had this week to talk through. So now we got a feature that I don't know if I talked to it about you, Fake or News, where we actually gonna show you headlines and you have to tell us if they are real or if they're not real. So let's play Fake or News.
Let's go.
There we go.
Cool.
Okay, over to you, Chris.
All right, so that's you have to press the play game button, right?
There we go. Yep.
Okay. BMW is putting Spider-Man ads on your dashboard after promising it never would.
That is unfortunately news.
Have you seen about it? Have you seen the news?
Yes. I heard the outcry on that even made it to Heise and so on. Yes.
Wow. The problem was saying they never would. So let's have a look. Correct. It was news. Okay.
A real macOS flaw worth $200,000 went unreported because Apple bug bounty inbox was full of AI slop.
That sounds real to me.
Oh.
What do you think?
Okay. It sounds so relatable, right? This could be news nowadays.
I think so. Let's go for news. Correct again. Streak of 2. All right.
2 arrested for checking into esports hotels and stealing RAM, making off with over $2,000 in profit in just 1 month.
So they stole 2 RAM things, just 2 of them? Because
2,000 is not much, right?
Yeah, it's not much.
What do we think? Less than 10 seconds. Should we say fake or real?
It's too little. I would say it's rather fake because for 2,000 euros, it's... Oh,
it's news.
Okay.
You never know.
Ancient princesses were weapon-wielding badasses, scientists discover.
It's got to be real. It's so specific and weird.
Okay. I would say this is fake.
Let's go with fake. Oh, it's news.
Whoa. Okay. I think corrected. Great.
It's vague, but it's weird, but somehow it's real.
We need more of those. Papaya runs on device, listens to you having sex, and draws a cartoon about it.
Previous point again. So weird.
I'd say this is definitely news. This is people are coming up with all kinds of these things. Yes.
This is where I've got a horrible feeling Chris is going to surprise us and he's made this one up. I hope you're right, Mark. Oh, yes. It's news.
That's the kind of stuff you normally get out of a hackathon, right?
Yes, totally.
Crypto exchange unveils marketplace where AI agents can hire each other.
Feels quite real. Feels like something that would exist.
Didn't they hire humans for this? I know that there was this marketplace for humans, but this shut down. So maybe they try now with other agents. No, I would say this is fake. But then again,
I like your logic. I like your logic. You thought it might be real, so you went for fake. Ah, there we go.
Okay.
Yeah, that human AI, that shut down really quickly as well, didn't it? The one where they hired humans, so that was weird.
Yeah.
Cool. Discord pens text requires all communication through AI-generated avatars.
No way.
No way. The outcry would have been like in every media outlet. Yes.
Yeah, it would be madness. Good. Fake. Number 8.
Delta flight carrying DEFCON hackers hit by Wi-Fi attack mid-air.
I think it's fake because I think you've gone on Delta recently, Chris, and I wonder if this is something you've made up on the fly. I think it's fake.
Yeah, usually most of the hackers are very aware of when and where they should hack. So I would also say this is fake.
Just in the nick of time. Oh, and it's real.
Oh, what's wrong with people? Oh no.
You'll see this, Mark. It's you really can't tell, and I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing when you get it right, because if you can kind of tell that these are real or not, I don't know if that's a good thing. Number 9.
Zoom's new AI presence mode quietly attends meetings on your behalf when you decline.
That sounds like a feature, no?
It does.
I hope it's news, because it's actually a great feature.
It would be handy, but then it sort of defeats the object of saying no, because it's I don't know, it feels like another thing you'd have to go and do, but I'll go with you on that. News. This is what I mean.
Okay, now Zoom has a new feature.
I mean, if you decline my meeting and you send me a robot instead, I will hate you and I will hunt you down. Because the idea of a meeting is that I meet you, not like something that records things and then you not answer. Okay.
Great. Number 10.
Amazon announces new warehouse efficiency AI that schedules worker breaks to optimize package throughput.
Totally news. I see this as totally as news.
I'm hoping it's not, but I think you're right. Yeah. Okay.
No, made up.
Okay.
Chris, you're getting good at this. They're getting more believable. This is a real problem. Okay, there's 2 more. Question number 11.
Webpack 7 achieves 4 millisecond build time by refusing to check for errors.
No, surely not.
Please let this not be news.
Yeah. Please, Chris, the fact you're laughing means I'm worried. Okay, it's fake. That's fake. Good. And the final one.
GitHub Copilot now charges 1 cent per line of generated code that contains bugs.
No.
I know this is fake, but this is actually a great idea.
Yeah, agreed. So we'll say it's fake, but yeah, we both quite like it. Correct.
Cool.
Mark, I will say at this point, that means, because we've had 2 guests, you and Jason from last week, you're joint first on the leaderboard, and you've both got a streak of 2. So nobody's beating you, but it also means you're first and last at the same time. So there you go.
I love that you probably vibe coded that app that actually shows this, and the leaderboard looks exactly the same as Slido. They could do it.
Yeah, this is it, isn't it? It's what we were saying earlier, whether it's kind of copyright infringement of AI music and all this, they're scooping up everything and then giving it back to you in these vibe coded apps. The only thing I will say that you can kind of control on these is please give me this color scheme, and then you're going to get a site that looks like everybody else's but with your color scheme. So there you go.
Nice. Cool. So that was Fake or News for today. You played well. I have to get better at coming up with random things that sound useful. Cool.
Well, the Amazon the Amazon one was really good, because that sounded like totally something Amazon would do.
Yeah, but I don't think they would make an AI for it. They would get cheap labor to do it, but like I don't know, like tasers or something, or I'm not sure. But yeah, it's an interesting one to see. Now, this one was all over the news as well, and I think I have to go away from Bing because it actually does try to do random things with any URL that I put in. So China had the humanoid competition, running competition, long jump competition, and basically Usain Bolt's record for 100-meter dash has been broken by a robot. And whilst that, they had like cage fights in San Francisco with humanoid robots as well. And I actually love that the most thing that people don't show is that the runner actually ran into a wall at the end of it. and smashed all kind of things. So I mean, you're the robot guy. You probably can tell me this, but I'm like, yes, a robot can run faster than a human. A forklift can also carry more than I can. Like, isn't that what we build machines for? Why is that a thing?
Why this? I don't know, because media outlets were looking for something to report on. But yes, I'm with you. I'm not surprised that a robot can. I mean, making a robot walk or run is a bit challenging, but I think we have this. We can do this now for, I don't know, like 2 or 3 years reliably. I don't know. And I mean, I'm all for robot Olympics. That's probably.
Hmm.
Ah, dang. We can't see the robot, but yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'm working on it. Of course, there's going to be a pop-up that nobody wants.
There we are.
Yeah, so basically, he did well in the running thing, but then he didn't do well in the stopping thing.
Oh wow! I didn't see that end.
Oh. Okay. Yeah, maybe next time the engineers also consider what happens after finishing the race.
That's probably a good idea. But I mean, the whole idea, as somebody who worked on robotics in the past as well, and like these kind of things, making a computer run like a human seems to be like the most inefficient way. I mean, we stumble all the time and we fall over. It's like, I think the robot dog idea, the four-legged ones, seem to be a much better, sensible way of doing it. But yeah, as you said, like, it's a media outlet headlines thing. If it walks like a human, then more people look into it, or more people get excited about it. But I mean, also there was the other thing where they have these robots that come into your house in San Francisco and clean up, and they're also like erect walking and fold things and wash dishes, and you're like, that's what we have dishwashers for. Like, it feels so bizarre that we're actually building this like half human things. One of my favorite movies of that, or like, I think undervalued movies, was Westworld, that then became a TV series in a modern fashion as well. And I always hated it, watching it as a kid, because there was this one thing where it had a sign and it says like, robots of that and that type are not meant to actually go past this sign because humidity is too high there. And you're like, why would you build a sign for a robot to read, OCR scan, and analyze when you just can control a robot and say like, this place is off limits, so you don't need to put up the sign. The sign was only there for the human that watches the movie and not for the robot itself.
I would say so.
But
yeah. I mean, but on the other hand, this society, or this, we made this our environment for bipedals and humans, with most of them with arms and hands. So I guess that's what this interest with humanoid robot comes from, because you could technically get this thing into your house and do, or hope that it does most of the work that you would do. We're not there yet, apparently, but when it comes to running, we are there yet, I guess. Have you tried the typical example of folding T-shirts? That is always hilarious if you see these type of robots folding T-shirts, and they are like awesome. I didn't knew that, but I learned this like half a year ago, that they're T-shirt or cloth folding machines, where you basically just drop your stuff in there. It detects like it's a T-shirt or it's trouser or like pants or something like that, and then it folds the stuff for you. So it's also probably better for this single purpose. And yet we're still showcasing to investors our humanoid robots that can fold T-shirts.
Yeah, I mean, where do these benchmarks come from? I mean, the same with like when it comes to AI generated movies, and it's like eating spaghetti, that kind of thing. You know, it's just really bizarre. We come up with the most useless things to do, rather than like, okay, here's a robot. And when you look at like warfare, and you look at like drones, they become actually more stupid now. These are just throwaway machines that basically are there to hit one target, and that's it. Like the whole smart thing kind of goes away in that market. We saw these in San Francisco as well, that toaster-shaped robot things. I hadn't have a time to use one, but there is a cafe where you can actually hire them and just go in and sit down on the thing, and they go between one cafe and another and drive you there. And I kind of like it because that's very simple, and I'm more excited about public transport being self-driving than personal cars being self-driving, because we have too many cars on the road and we don't have enough buses. But Dan, did you manage to take one of those?
No, but do you know what? I can't look at them the same way now they've called them toaster shaped, because it kind of undermines it a bit for me now. Now I sort of would feel self-conscious if I was in one, and they don't look as cool to me now because I sort of can just see a toaster. But yeah, I agree with you, Chris. I really like the idea of it being something that maybe is less of a personal vehicle thing, because aside from the fact we're saying we've got too many cars, you've then got all of the energy that's gone into kind of the fact that it will have, you know, AI and robotics in the car as well, and it feels like a double whammy of wastage. And that if we can find something that, I mean, obviously, you know, bus drivers and jobs, etc., we know, but if we can find a way that, yeah, we can make this something that is brought up to scale so it can do public transport in a safe way, I think it'll probably help people get behind it more, because it does feel like, some of when you guys were talking then, there's this thing of the need to sort of market your product and maybe market what you can do. And I felt like the Robot Olympics was a bit like the Steve Jobs moment when he took the MacBook out of the envelope, and it was kind of, there's nothing new, it's just really small. And that with the robots, I think it's kind of a thing of saying, we're not necessarily trying to show you, again, the boring specifics of what we can do right now. We're trying to excite you about this technology. So I think they kind of need something similar now with this kind of using automated buses and things like this. Again, it just doesn't feel like something there's a huge kind of push for people to do, because we're so concerned with doing it for individual cars and it being a very individualized thing, you know.
Have you guys been using self-driving cars or taxis in the US before?
Yeah, I did the Waymo thing, and I actually made a video doing it, so that was rude that my driver didn't show up. They're not very fast, because they are on the side of caution. So that's one thing, and it's really easy to make them stop if you just walk in the street and stuff. So that's fun to do as well. But I like the idea. But Dan, you had discussions with like taxi drivers that were super against them, right?
Oh yeah, really against them. And I mean, you know, obviously we've got the kind of worries around jobs, but a lot of what they were saying was actually kind of on the ground. They said that there's a feeling of, in San Francisco particularly, where people tend to love new tech, there is a feeling of there's something here. They're very good, you know, but maybe not yet. And that actually a lot of the issues that are the big stories that we're seeing around some of the self-driving cars are these slightly funny ones, things where someone stood in front of it and a sensor's gone off and then it's frozen in the middle of an intersection or something, and whatever it might be. We're hearing these kind of big, scary moments of things that are slightly dangerous. And I think that is sort of trickling down, even amongst people where, you know, we love tech and we sometimes think, oh, let's take it on, even if it's not perfect. So I think it's interesting. It's almost like the opposite of the vibe codey approach that you were talking about earlier, Chris. You know, move fast, break things, don't worry about security. Those same people are actually worried about security, and they're worried about privacy and safety and all of these things.
I found it really interesting that the steering wheel is still turning in the thing, that there's a steering wheel and it tells you like 16 times, don't touch it. That's not for you. But then why have it? And it feels really bizarre, because it feels like a ghost driving the car. But what I learned actually was the interesting thing about Waymo was that the cars that are actually there, they're Jaguars. And it turned out that the back window, the rear window, is actually too small for a human driver to safely watch the road through it. And that's why it was a failure actually as a cell for Jaguar. But then Waymo took it on and say like, okay, what about we don't need a driver for it, and you can still reuse all these cars that you build without actually having to fit them with a new rear window. So that's a classic case of like building something and then without just having to discard it, they actually made it a cool feature now, and everybody looks at those things. And I was wondering why Jaguar would do something like a self-driving car. But turns out that it was just a very badly designed car for humans. But now for robots, not so much.
Interesting. Waymo is also planning to come to Munich, right? Did you see the announcement?
I didn't, but I'm not surprised because that's where they always tried. I mean, that's where BMW did their like the whole fleet of minis as well when they started doing that about the time sharing of cars. So yeah, it would be interesting to see. I mean, it doesn't matter because there's always a traffic jam in Munich anyway, so it's pointless to have. I mean, I just look at those and I'm like, I don't see toaster. I actually see like a carriage, like an old one. You know, the horse-drawn carriages looked a bit like that.
Somewhere
And
between
they were
that
always,
and a London cab, like it's got the
Yeah.
4 people facing each other, like the London black cabs.
Mm.
That's
Yeah.
kind of what I reference.
I mean, that was always a lie because horses can't draw. I mean, and if they would draw to totally different picture than those.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's weird.
Yeah.
That was also a really one that I actually thought about putting into Faker News. So the FDA approves a robot that can find your vein, insert a needle, and draw blood without human help. That also means it's better to kill you, and it can also administer drugs that you should not have. But it feels like, I mean, look at the size of that thing. You know? Yeah, it's interesting to see if that really is that much more efficient than actually have a person draw blood.
And is that even the image? Is that even the device? Like when you see the image at the top now, I never quite know if something's like a proof of concept AI image trying to show you what it could look like, or a real photograph someone's taken. Yeah.
Is it?
And I mean,
is it already approved? Yeah, it is approved. Okay, FDA approved.
Yeah. And I love that, like,
there are people, I mean, probably that's what the nurses tell me. There are people where it's really easy to draw blood, and there are people where it's really, really hard to draw blood because of whatever physiology. And the question would be apparently if this robot will try 5 times and then call the nurse, or if it just continues finding your vein.
Something tells me it's going to give you an answer. Like a lot of the AI, it's going to look to give you an answer. So it's probably just going to administer it. But yeah, guardrails.
This is great. I got 4 pints now. Let's see what more is coming out here. Like, yeah, nurses always love me because of my skin color. It's like you can see my veins shining through really, really easily. So that's really a fun thing that ginger people have, it seems. So yeah. But I mean, this is again like I like the article telling about like, oh, you might be worried about getting your blood taken by a human. So how about a robot? And I'm like, really? I mean, do I trust a machine more than a human in this case? Like, it feels bizarre. But yeah, it's. I mean, if it's already approved, it went through like lots of things. So, I mean, we're almost out of time, but like, let's talk about yesterday. So, Marc, what were your impressions of the hackathon, and did you do anything roboty there as well, or was it only about agents and AI?
It was only about agents and AI, no robots involved. The people, it was like probably a mixed crowd. They had pretty good ideas. And what I love about hackathons nowadays is even people that aren't familiar with coding or have like this proper education can try to get their ideas to a state where they can be showcased. And there were quite a few people that were in this state, and they were using the regular agent harnesses and building interesting stuff. For example, there was this one guy who built who hacked together. It was in a venue that was called Music Hall, and they connected the dots, and they're like, okay, so I'm going to build something with music. So you could actually punch in the chords on a web UI, and then it checked using a graph database, checked if these chords have been used in previous music pieces so it's probably something for a bigger music company, but also interesting for smaller musicians. And this is the fun part about these type of hackathons now, because I remember back then when we used to do these hackathons, for example, with Microsoft back then, those were usually a couple of days. For example, for the HoloLens, you can't hack something together in 1 or 2 days. You need almost kind of like 3 days or an entire week. And now you just have 4 hours or something. And people come up with crazy things. Can't say any different. So there was also this guy who hacked together a tax advisor with voice. So, I mean, you use obviously Whisper, then you transcribe it and then put it into an agent, and then use the graph database for the documents and all the tax laws. But I thought like, hey, this might even be better than my own tax accountant. So not bad. And he did this also in a few hours. So impressive, really, really impressive. So I like the directions where hackathons are going now.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I mean, Elster is basically the official German government software to do your taxes. Is not fun at all. It's yeah, it's pretty bizarre. I never understood the name because that basically what's the bird's name? It's basically a bird. Yeah, but the English name for it is basically a bird that steals shiny things, and that's the official
magpie.
name of it. Yeah, magpie.
That's not got good connotations. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really bizarre, but yeah. But I mean, I like that these hackathons are just working out nowadays. And I mean, Neo4j was a partner, and of course,
Yes.
it was the group that we normally. I wanted to go, I couldn't get yesterday because I was just wound up in other things. But it's good to see people feeling inspired to do things. The follow-up was always my issue with hackathons as well. Like, what happens next? And I mean, we give people prizes, and then basically, yeah. And we talked about it earlier. The other problem was internal hackathons. When you had it in companies, then you had your product managers show like, oh, well, that's done now, isn't it? Like, okay, we can release this now. And you're like, no, it's a proof of concept that it can be done. It's probably not a good idea to release it immediately because of the security issues and performance issues and these kind of things. But that's a step we seem to be losing. A lot of people, the builders that we met in San Francisco as well, like, they don't even know what their tool is doing. And if it doesn't have a feature, then they just rewrite the whole thing from scratch rather than just making one feature differently.
Yeah. And to what you just said, the product managers who didn't know about the quality issues with MVPs or POCs from hackathons, I mean, these builders, I argue the quality of the code builders produce and release is probably not worse than what the people were doing at the hackathon. So we are at this, hey, looks good enough, let's release point.
Yeah. And then like, oh my God, we've been hacked. How did that happen? Yeah, the password was 1234. Like, yeah,
it might settle in though as well. It might take a bit of time, and then actually it kind of gets to the point where you can use the vibe coding kind of, or the kind of hackathon using vibe coding tools, things like this, as a way of just getting understanding that it is just a MVP, and that it can actually help you to identify some of those issues rather than sort of just have them and ignore them. So hopefully, the people with more experience will then guide the kind of hackathons or the vibe coders or the people that are less technical to kind of learn that. That's my optimistic hope, but who knows?
Well, it's a bit like the thing that he built with like chords, the same but like code. I remember GitHub Copilot in a demo version that I had, or in a preview version, would tell you like this code is copyrighted because it's from that GitHub repo with that license. So I think that's a very important bit that needs to happen as well. And Deezer in Berlin did this AI detection tool, like if the music was generated by AI and automatically discards it now, because they had a problem that 90% of the uploaded music is AI generated these days. And yeah, I don't know why that is a flooding thing, but I mean there was a big scam on Spotify as well, where somebody generated AI music and then generated bots that would listen to it and then get actually money from Spotify because of the high listening numbers.
The internet.
Is that a valid business model? Because paying the bots, like paying the tokens, is probably not cheap.
Well, I mean, if you really need to go through, I mean, if you run it on a local machine, then it's not an issue, is it?
Oh, fair, true.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, or I mean, if you really want to be evil, you do it on like a botnet of hacked mobile phones and let them listen for you.
That is happening. That is happening. And
yeah,
I've even seen it on the manual. I've even seen it as a manual thing, that there was, when I was playing in a band, it was known that there were bands that would put their songs up and then they would do that, leaving their own phones on, getting it running around the clock, so that it would at least have a few hundred views, so that it didn't look like it was unpopular. And now we've just gone, agents can do that.
And you can also buy listens and clicks and these type of things for Spotify. There were like a few a few things going on in the German music scene a while ago, where artists were accused of buying these streamings.
Wow. Now, I mean, the other thing that I had, I can't remember her name right now, but I will have her on a podcast soon. A friend of mine is doing teaching AI with robots and building like little robots that you put together in a modular fashion and then generate code the same way. And I love that this physical bit is coming in again, because we did that with kids in the past. We had like games that were basically like make a robot go forward and backward. And I remember Notebots, when Node.js came out and people then controlled things, and you're like, okay, I just wrote 400 lines of JavaScript that I can't read, and now an LED is blinking. That's amazing. I think that physical thing is always something that takes it away, that makes it more interesting for people. And it would be interesting to talk to Lego what Mindstorms is doing if they actually went into the AI space. Do you know anything about that?
Discontinued. As a huge Lego nerd, this is discontinued. Was discontinued a while ago. So because you just mentioned, so yeah, there are these robots, and they bring these like programming into the physical world. And I've seen this with my daughter. I was giving her my Mindstorm kit and letting her like, this is what is the name of this program? But it's basically block-based programming. So you drag and drop the blocks, and then you create the flows this way.
Scratch.
And they unfortunately discontinued that. But these Mindstorms, like these blocks, can be apparently reflashed with, so it runs proper code or proper software. But yeah, Lego does not have any interest in pursuing this, from what I understand. Otherwise, they would have jumped on the AI story right now, because it kind of, as you just said, it kind of makes sense. For example, I do have, down in my basement, I do have connected my OpenClaw instance to my SO, the Lirobot SO101 ARMS, which is interesting. Apparently, writing robot code directly is a lot easier, because if you have a model that does all these things, or like a VLA or so, it takes a lot of time, right? So it's not like real time. You can only say, hey, there are these 5 things on the table, sort everything that is yellow to the left box and everything that is red to the right box. But if you have, for example, 2 arms that are competing, they crash into each other because the model is not, the inference is not fast enough, and so on and so forth. So we are not there yet, but we can already play with these things, and it's fun. It's really fun, because you just said this digital kind of like, not graspable thing now becomes something that you can actually see, that can actually do things, move things, and interact with the environment.
It's a bit like when teaching math and using like generative computing and showing how beautiful a sine curve can be, and these kind of things, rather than just telling people like, find the x and y and just basically give me the number and that's that. Like, it's I really like immersive teaching, and I think as a physical component to it is a very interesting thing. I remember Makey, and I showed that to Dan the other day. That was basically that little keyboard thing that you connect, and you. I remembered like having a banana and playing music on it, and these kind of things. So it was really fun to see in the educational space that these things were interesting to sort out. Let's see where this is going. So yeah, cool. So I guess this is it for today. That was WeAreDevelopers Live for today. Again, yesterday was WeAreDevelopers Day, so we got 30 days to go and meet you in San Francisco. So if you want to have a ticket, contact us. If you want to say you saw the QR code earlier in the show, where you can actually get 50% off. And generally we Dan is showing things.
My fault, mistake. That's your tool showcase. Yes, I've it tries to play on its own, but there you go. I thought I'd line that one up so we can end the show by playing that one out, and then after we've done the outro.
Exactly, I totally missed that one. Okay, yeah, let's talk about a tool that I found interesting that you can play with. Let's watch that video.
Mac OCR is a free tool that allows you to extract text from images locally on your computer. This enables you to find images faster and agents to convert them without using up any tokens. Check out the full article for more information. If you open an image in macOS using Quick View by pressing the spacebar, you can click the icon on the bottom right corner to highlight all text in the image. If you then press Command A, you select the text and copy it to the clipboard using Command C. If you open the image in Preview, you can choose from Tools Text Selection and highlight part of the image with text to copy. This is an offline feature of macOS running entirely on your computer. This is great, but wouldn't it be better to be able to do that as a batch process for a lot of images? Enter Mac OCR. Mac OCR was written by Hiroki Osame and is available as open source on GitHub. It is a macOS command line tool that reads text from images and PDFs and creates searchable PDFs. It runs entirely on your Mac with Apple's Vision framework. Nothing is uploaded to any cloud. For example, if you wanted to create text files of all the PNG images in a folder, you can run the following command. This now takes each image, extracts the text from it, and creates a file. This can be extremely helpful to make images more findable. You can now use the search in Finder to find the images containing a certain text. The search will return the text file, and you know the image of the same name is in the same folder. As you can use Mac OCR in your own scripts, it also makes your images findable and indexable for agents without burning tons of tokens. The only caveat is that this is not a direct image-to-text conversion. Instead, OCR means that you detect letter shapes and layout. This means that the final text can contain false information and has a layout component to it. For example, it will detect hyphens and add line breaks. So if you want to reuse the text in a different layout, you'd need to clean that up. It is also not a good idea to use this to create automatic alternative text, as this one should describe the image, not just grab the text it contains.
And we are back.
Cool. Yeah, I really started to use that for a lot of things, especially for agentic workflows as well, because analyzing an image by Claude costs a lot of tokens. Basically, why not do it directly on your machine? If you know that the machine is going to be a Mac machine, it actually does that. I think there might be something in Windows doing the same thing, but this has been a really, really cool tool. I reached out to the developer as well, so we might have him a coffee with developers or even on the live show, because he's in Japan, so that could work time-wise as well. And he works for Vercel, and he just does that in his free time. And I think that's the kind of tools that I want to see more, like basically to do these things. If you want to see more of those tool shows, we're going to record a few of those. If you have a tool that you think it's worthwhile, tell us about it. And we can actually do a review of it like this as well. And I guess other things to say is like we got the DevRel, we got the event coming up. We got the newsletter. We got we look for writers for our magazine as well, so you can send us those things in as well. So take a look at what's happening in the description of this one as well, because there's lots of stuff how you can take part. And of course, I want to thank Marc for jumping in the last moment because I forgot to get somebody for this week. And it's always good fun to meet you. And do you have any last words for people out there? Any words of wisdom?
Enjoy coding, have fun. And also thanks for having me.
Cool. Thanks very much, Marc Plogas. Thanks very much, Daniel. This was WeAreDevelopers Live for today, and we see you next Wednesday.
Bye.
Yeah.